Today on Lush Uncut, open borders activists protest against mass deportation by waving the flags of countries that they don't want to go to. The Grammys happened again and they sucked again. Democrats cry because for the first time in decades, Americans are being prioritized in America. Reading from Fox News. Hundreds of protesters flooded a busy Los Angeles freeway on Sunday morning, causing major traffic delays in response to President Donald Trump's illegal immigration crackdown. The protest began on Alvarez Street around 9 a.m. with a large group of participants. Nearly half an hour later, the Los Angeles Police Department announced several street closures due to a non-permitted demonstration blocking traffic and suggested drivers find alternate routes. The California Highway Patrol also confirmed the protest and encouraged people to avoid downtown Los Angeles while authorities attempted to gain control of the demonstration. Aldo Bodazzoni, an independent journalist and a political commentator, was at the protest and spoke to some of the participants. Here's how that went.
One thing to Donald Trump, what would you say? What are you guys doing out here today, and what's your message for this protest?
We're protesting in North Hollywood to try to stop mass deportation. A lot of hard workers are immigrants, and they're also being deported and being ripped away from their family.
There was some new polls coming out that show a majority of Americans support mass deportations. What do you guys think that says about the country, and what do you think about those polls?
The country is very ignorant. I think they have no morals. They have no morals, and it's very disrespectful because a lot of immigrants work in the farms. That's where they get their produce. How are they supposed to get their produce? That's just going to cause inflation. So they're ignorant not just on them. Migrants are also ignorant themselves.
Okay, so a couple of points about this. First of all, Democrats need to stop with this habit of calling all Americans ignorant and racist or bigots or whatever the case may be when they get information that a majority of Americans support a policy that they do not like. Insulting the broader American public really does not make a good case for whatever it is you're yelling about. So that's number one. Number two, making the case that America needs migrants to do the grunt work that other Americans, don't want to do is not really a good case for keeping illegal immigrants here. Because one, what you're basically saying is that you want a second class, a group of citizens to do, again, the grunt work, the dirty work, the laborious work that Americans cannot do. Do not want to do, or you feel that they should not do. If you care about the well-being of these migrants just for the sake of caring about their well-being and you feel like they should stay here just because it's safer for them, that's one thing. But don't sit there and make this case like, oh, how are you gonna get your produce, who's going to clean your toilets? It's a very condescending argument to the people that you claim to care about. And on top of that, it suggests that Americans need low wage, second class laborers from other countries to do their work. Again, it's an insult to the migrants, and it's also an insult to America. And I think the most ironic part about these protests is, again, they're waving Mexican flags, saying that they don't want people to go back to Mexico. So it's like, it would make sense for you guys to be waving American flags if your case is that they should stay in America because America is better for them. If you thought Mexico was this awesome, great place, or other Central and South American countries, then you would want them to go back, but you're waving Mexican flags protesting for them to not go back to Mexico. And it's crazy because you're saying again that Americans are immoral, Americans are, these big bad people, but then you want these people to stay in this country with these immoral, big bad people. It's like, is America the problem or the solution? It cannot be both. You can't sit there and have this really negative perspective on this country and then protest for more people to be able to come here. Moving on to our next story, and I know that I'm late on this, but the Grammys happened, I believe it was this past Sunday, and there's a couple of things I want to point out about the Grammys. Number one, Beyonce winning Best Country Album of the Year was an insult to country music, okay? Imagine if Taylor Swift, right, made a rap album and won the Best Rap Album of the Year. The uproar that would cause, the entire, people will start having seizures and foaming at the mouth at the thought of Taylor Swift doing something like that. But because it's Beyonce, it's suddenly okay for her to win a Grammy for a genre that she barely ever participated in before this one album that, I'm sorry to say, and if you're a Beyonce fan, then I do apologize, but not really. But the album was not that great, okay? I generally am not much of a Beyonce fan, so my opinion is very biased, but objectively, that was a bad album. And again, for her to win Best Country Album is wow. So that's number one. And number two, I wanted to highlight this speech that Lady Gaga made that made its round on social media, and I want to kind of talk about it for a second. So here's that.
I want to say tonight that trans people are not invisible. Trans people deserve love. The queer community deserves to be lifted up. Music is love. Thank you.
Okay, so the reason why I wanted to play this video is for one reason and one reason only, and that's to say that Hollywood that no longer holds the cultural power and influence that they had before, which means that the Democrat Party coming, in 2028 cannot use Hollywood celebrities to garner votes at all. These people are so completely and utterly out of touch with everyday Americans and the general population that it's wild. The fact of the matter is, one of the main reasons why Donald Trump was reelected into the White House was over the trans issue, and Democrats, and especially Hollywood Democrats, cannot and will not let that go. So they're going to continue to speak and advocate on behalf of the transgenderism and lose a lot of people. Hollywood is slowly but surely dying. So if you're wanting more evidence of Hollywood's delusion, here is Sex and the City actor Cynthia Nixon at a pro-trans the kids rally outside of a New York City hospital, talking about all the trans kids that she knows. Here we go.
Most importantly, I am here today as the mother of a proud trans man. I am here today as the aunt of a proud trans man. My best friend's kid is trans, and my kid's best friend is trans. My wife and I, our lives are filled with the most amazing, beautiful, brave, trans people, young and old, but especially young. My trans kid had his top surgery at NYU a number of years ago.
If you didn't notice there, she basically admitted that she had the breast of her daughter cut off on the altar of transgenderism. And if you're wondering, why is it that these people are refusing to let this go? Again, a majority of Americans agree that they are two genders, and you cannot just switch genders based on your subjective perception of yourself and how you apply to the gender markers or whatever the case may be. Most Americans are very clear on this issue, and again, it is one of the major reasons why Donald Trump is back in the White House. So you have to question yourself, why is it that these people are refusing to just acknowledge the fact that they are wrong? I was listening to Matt Walsh yesterday, and he made a really, 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 really good point about this, and I think it brings some more understanding as to why they can't let this ideology go. So I'm gonna play that video for you just so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
People like Cynthia, they can't let this go. They can't give up on this fight. They have to defend trans ideology to the hilt forever. Because the other option is to admit that they've done something horrific to their children, which they can't do. That's the situation that they're in.
And there it is. I mean, it's clear, like, he's absolutely right. I cannot fathom the level of regret and self-loathing and just deep sadness and just pain that would come to someone like Cynthia Nixon if she ever admitted that, you know what, I was wrong. And it's not that I was wrong and I suffered and I did something to myself that I regret, because it's easy to kind of come to terms when you realize that you were wrong about something and it only affected you. Like, yes, you'll be sad, but you know what? You can kind of take accountability, whatever the case may be. But when your actions that you regret affect people that you love, especially your children, and I don't even have kids, and even the thought of that, I could only imagine the pain that would come with that. So, of course, Cynthia Nixon and other people that have done this to children and have advocated for this to be done to children cannot let this ideology go, because it would just mean the unthinkable for them. Moving on to our next story, the Democrats, they are having an issue with Elon Musk. I'm sure you have seen this all over social media, but they are big mad at Mr. Musk because he has been exposing all of the maltreatment of American taxpayers' dollars that have been happening for the last couple of decades. And the story that's at the front of this has been USAID, also known as the United States Agency for International Development. So just to give you some, quick summary of the situation, here is a list of priorities that the USAID has had over the last couple of decades. Libs of TikTok, posted this on X, and this is just a list of what they've been spending your money on. 2 million for Moroccan pottery classes, 2 million for promoting tourism to Lebanon, $20 million for a Sesame Street show in Iraq. That one floored me. Sending Ukrainians to Paris Fashion Week. 1.5 million for DEI in Serbia. 70,000 for DEI for a DEI musical in Ireland. 47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, 32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru, 2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, 6 million for tourism in Egypt, and 1 million to help disabled people in Tajikistan become climate leaders. 15 million for contraceptives and condom in Taliban controlled Afghanistan. So guys, if you're, you look at your paycheck every week or maybe every other week, whatever that may be, and you see, federal income tax, that nice pretty number, and you think to yourself, you know what, at least this is going to our veterans, at least this is going to build roads, at least this is going to educate our children, at least this is going to the benefit of America. No, it's not. It's going for Sesame Street shows in Iraq. So obviously this is money laundering. At the end of the day, there's nothing else, there's no other explanation in my head for this obnoxious amount of spending to these random causes everywhere. This is clear-cut money laundering, okay? At the end of the day. So anyway, the Democrats were not happy. So here is Chuck Schumer and Maxine Waters, I think her name is Maxine Waters, yelling about this. Here's that.
We cannot allow Elon Musk and a small group of people to secretly, behind closed doors, take away our privacy, take away our dollars, take away everything we have. We are going to fight this fight. I am going to stand with you in this fight, and we will win. We will win. We will win. We will win.
Yeah, enough of that. So the thing about it is, and I think the Democrats really are in quite a pickle after their loss in November for a number of reasons. Number one, their cash cow, DEI, BLM, all of these super left, causes, nobody cares about them anymore. They are no longer political winners. People are not crying anymore about, the racism in this country and sexism in this country. Nobody cares as much as they did before. So they don't have those DEI, oppression causes that they like to use to bait people into voting for Democrats. They are losing a lot of their core, voter base. They've lost Latinos. They're they're losing women, they're losing young people, they're even losing a good portion of the Black community in this country. So all of their go-to voters are slowly but surely moving to the right. On top of that, no matter how much they try, they cannot contend with Donald Trump. They cannot beat him. They cannot outmaneuver him. No matter what they do, Donald Trump just won't go away. So they have a lot to deal with. On top of that, they have people the likes of Chuck Schumer and Maxine Walters to deal with. These chronically establishment scumbag politicians that everyone hates. I have yet to find someone on the left that's like, yeah, Chuck Schumer, he's a really upstanding guy. Maxine Waters, she cares about the people. Come on. So they have these establishment shills that are aging out, but also seem, just not to go anywhere. And they are the ones that are, on TV yelling about Elon Musk, telling the entire American public, not just Republicans, not just, Democrats, but everyone, like, hey, your taxpayer, the money that is taking out of your paycheck before you get any say is going on foreign lands for the most obscene causes. It's not like they're going to build roads and hospitals and, you think, if we're going to go send money to Serbia, then maybe it's for a good cause. It's for these random nonsense. So Elon Musk is telling everyone, hey, this is where your money's going. And they're mad. They're mad because he's just exposing the corruption. So the Democrats have to deal with that. They have so much egg on their faces right now. They don't even know where to start wiping. And honestly speaking, Democrat voters should be happy about this because Donald Trump is not just rooting out the corruption within the Democrat Party. He's also rooting out the corruption within the Republican Party and the federal government as a whole. So even though you may not like him, you may not care for his character or the way he chooses to do things, you are going to benefit from this because after this, government, transparency and being honest about what they're doing with our money is going to be base level requirements for anyone that is going to be seeking any type of political office. The shadow government that we all have been living under, again, for decades now, have been exposed. So it's like we're not returning to the old system. Moving on to our fun story for the day, leftists are protesting Donald Trump in a new and innovative way by wearing red lipstick. Here we go. All right, that's it. That is all of that I'm going to play. So I don't even know really where to begin on the level of just narcissism that it takes for someone to feel that like this matters. And granted, everyone have the right to protest in this country. I would never take that from anybody and say that, if you disagree with your politicians, with who's in office, that you should not show your objection. So they have the right to protest. It's not hurting anybody. It's mainly just making them look very silly. So it's a very harmless protest at the end of the day. But it's still ridiculous. And it's ridiculous because the amount of privilege that it takes for you to feel like that you're actually doing something by wearing, red lipstick is wild. Because if you really feel that like Donald Trump is a real threat to this country, that he's a fascist and all of these things, it's like you're really not willing to show any real objection to his presidency. I mean, what happened to the days of like a hunger strike as a protest? I'll take you seriously when you starve yourself. I'll take you seriously when you cause any little bit of actual discomfort to yourself and, objection to the cause that you're claiming to object. You're putting lipstick on? That is the most comfortable form of protest that I think I've ever seen. And I think that's my problem with it. Because you're putting on lipstick. That's it. That's as far as you're willing to go. And then you're going to record yourself putting on lipstick, and then you're going to post it using your $1,000 phone and put it on the internet, and you stuck it to the man. The comfort that we have and the privileges that we have in this country is really mesmerizing. And only in a place like America can someone put on lipstick and say that they are protesting a president. So God bless America, really and truly. Anyways, thank you for taking the time out to check out my channel. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, throw something in the comment section down below, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that when I upload again, you will be notified. Thank you for your time and your attention. Remember to be blessed and be a blessing.